Let's do it.
So again, welcome everybody. This is our 5th OnTask podcast, and we are bringing back Judy LaDeur because she left us with some nuggets last time we had her on our 4th podcast, where we were talking about coaching and some scripting. And of course, what plays into that is knowing who you're talking to. So today's topic that we're going to cover is some of the personalities that are out there and how to identify them. And then how do you put your scripting and your messaging around that? Because, if you can build that connection with someone and then you can build the trust, then they're more apt to listen to you and hopefully turn into a valuable recruit for your office. So let me start off with introductions. My name is Paul Wiesner. I'm the CEO here at Realty Connection, and we bring you OnTask, the CRM that plugs into the Teradata MLS data, which we have Tracy Whitmore with us today from Teradata.
Hey, Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. Of course, we have Rob Sutherland from the Pro Broker. Rob also plugs in the OnTask and it enables him to make those all important introductory phone calls to queue up recruits to your dashboard so you can do what you do best, which is closing a deal. And then lastly, we've got Judy LaDeur, who's going to talk about how to close that deal by identifying the personalities. So welcome.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks for having me back.
So, Judy, I think we'll just kind of pick up where you left off last time, but kind of dive into the personality piece.
Great. Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today. Anyone who has ever been to any of my training classes or coaching knows that I truly believe that every broker, every recruiter, really every person in life should understand behavior. It definitely lowers your stress in every area of life. I can't imagine managing 40, 50, 60, or 100 independent contractors without understanding why they're responding the way they are. I first got into it, as I mentioned before, when I was in sales. And I could definitely tell that I was connecting with a lot of people, and I was absolutely not connecting with others. And in today's market, for every agent that you're not connecting with, or every buyer or seller that you're not connecting with, whether you're a salesperson or in recruiting, it's costing you $10,000 on the average. And so the first thing that I want to say today is that we've all been raised according to the golden rule. The golden rule says, do unto others, you would have them do unto you, treat people the way you want to be treated, which is a great rule for life. It is not a great rule for sales.
For sure.
Yeah, as Rob just mentioned before, early on, we were all kind of taught, okay, watch your candidate and mirror that candidate. That was kind of the early days of understanding behavior, meaning that some people are going to be more cautious in their actions and when making a decision. Some are more, what the heck, let's do it, fly by the seat of their pants. Others want to see those results. And so forget the golden rule when it comes to recruiting or anything dealing with sales, and follow the platinum rule. Platinum rule says, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Okay. Here's another interpretation of that. Give others the information that they need to make the best decision for them. Okay. And if we just look at how that impacts everything that you do as brokers and recruiters, typically, and sales agents as well, but I think everyone we've got here is, for the most part, most of your activities are recruiting and broker related. If you have a recruiting presentation and it's the same presentation for every agent delivered in the same way, then statistically speaking, 25% of the people are going to think it's a great presentation. Everything's going to be perfect. 50% of the people are going to be like, it's good. Okay. And then 25% of the people are going to think, not for me. And that's because, again, even though as individuals, so if I'm recruiting Paul and Rob and Tracy, okay, we got 3 distinct personalities here. They're going to base their decisions on different criteria. So to give them the information that I think is important is not necessarily going to be the right information for them. And so there's 2 words that I always use. It's called face and pace. Face means that the easiest thing for you to determine, is the person an emotional decision maker or are they a logical decision maker? Okay. Now, That's pretty easy. Tracy's a great example of an emotional decision maker. It doesn't mean that Tracy doesn't have a little bit of all four in her. We all do, but Tracy has a beautiful smile. Smile for us. Tracy, lean forward, let everybody see that beautiful smile. You can see that if you were to say hi to Tracy, you're always going to get that big smile right back. So whenever that personality is just instantly smiling, you're dealing with an emotional personality. Out of our panelists here that I have joining me, my peers and coworkers, Paul, you are probably the most logical. Now, again, you see Paul laughing,
Yeah, right. I don't know.
It's not that a logical personality doesn't smile. The difference is they smile when there's a reason to smile. They laugh if there's a reason to smile. So they'll still laugh at jokes, right? It's not like their face doesn't smile. But when they're in a business discussion, let's say an interview, then their face is going to remain more logical because they're taking information in. They base their decisions on facts and logic, and so they're going to bring that in. Now, if we look at Rob, I've known Rob.
This is the one I've been waiting for. I really want to know this.
I've known Rob for 20 years. Now, Rob's actually the more difficult of the three because Rob does have a nice smile, and you always see Rob smiling. However, when Rob's also in his business mode and running his company, he's got a very successful company. The D personality, which is a logical personality, is the personality that typically loves having their own business, running their own show. And I'll see Rob's more intense, more serious side sometimes when it comes to business. So Rob can flip right from smiley Rob to let's get down to business Rob. And so if I was interviewing Rob, I would first start off by, being a little more friendly and engaging and thinking, okay, he smiled upon the opening. Let's see how things go from here. But if as soon as we start talking business or we start asking questions, things get serious, his face keeps going back to that more matter-of-fact, logical face. That means that he bases his decisions on logical criteria. Okay, so emotional criteria is how do I feel about this person? How do I feel about the information that's coming my way? How do I feel about their agents? How do I feel about their company? In one of my classes, it was so funny. I had a very, very, very logical agent just stand up in class and said, so help me out here, everybody. Everyone keeps talking about their gut, okay, and how you have to use your gut to make these decisions sometimes. You just got to go with your gut. He goes, so I've spent my entire life trying to figure out how a slimy organ inside your body has anything to do with making a decision that involves business or money, right? Now, it's just spoken like the true, strong, logical personality. But the thing is, he was serious, right? Like he was an adult. He finally was in an environment that was safe enough to say, help me out here, okay? How would a gut have anything to do with a decision? And of course, my emotional decision makers were just like, it just does. You just like, it's down here, you feel it feels good, it feels bad. Like the gut is a great determinator, right? So as much as the emotional side sometimes looks at the logical side and thinks, why can't you feel that? The logical side is looking at the emotional side thinking, how could you just base a decision on how you feel about a person or how you feel about things, okay? There's a lot more to a decision than that. And so neither side is wrong, okay? They are both right, but they're right for how they feel with regard to making that decision. And so face is really important. Pace is also important, especially in real estate, because pace is based on how much risk is that person willing to take. And real estate is a high risk job. When we look at the real estate industry as a whole, and I've been testing thousands and thousands of agents, brokers, and recruiters and team leaders over the years, approximately, if we took DISC, I'm just going to use DISC because it's the one most commonly used. If we look at the D personality, which is a logical trait, and the I personality, which is an emotional trait, these are the two traits, one emotional, one logical, that are what we call fast. So in PACE, you have slow or fast. What does fast mean? You can make decisions faster.
Right.
You drive faster. You talk faster. You process faster. You multitask with ease, right? Their whole world operates in the fast zone. When we shift to what I call the left, which is that S and C personality, again, one logical and one emotional, we have a world where they're listeners more so than talkers, okay? And when you listen, you're listening because you need to gather information and facts and data in order to process a decision, okay? buying a car. I have walked into a dealership with a friend who was getting an oil change. And while she was at the window just getting her car checked in, I, who had a perfectly good car, okay, bought a brand new shiny red BMW convertible because it happened to be on the little round thing on the showcase. And the guy, and I asked the guy if he'd take it off, and he said, only if you're going to buy it. And I said, you know what? I think I will. So take it off when you drive it around. And so we drove it to lunch and came back, and I bought the car. Now, for someone who's more logical, so I'm thinking, Paul, like like, is that even conceivable to you that you could leave your friend for 10 minutes and you come back and they're buying a shiny red BMW convertible just because it's cute and it kind of feels good when I'm sitting in it?
I don't know. I might go for that one. A red convertible, it's hard to pass up. You know?
Maybe because it's a cute car, right? So, but the, a lot of my friends who were more of the, they need to do some research and make sure it's the right price. And, because they were asking all kinds of questions like, well, how did you even know if you're getting a good price? I'm like, I don't know. Price didn't enter into it because it just felt good in the moment. I don't know. I guess I was just ready for a new car. And so, go ahead.
So you're going through these personalities. Is there like a website or so someone can say, okay, these are the different personalities I got to start looking for, and maybe some keys on how to identify, right? Because you've done this so long, you can look at Rob and you can say, I know what he is. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what the different categories are. So is there like a matrix that someone can follow?
There is very little information out there. People keep asking me to write a book on it. When you look at websites, you can go to any company that has disc testing available. Tony Alexandra, he's down, I think, in Tennessee or Virginia or something. He's very, very knowledgeable. So you can go to the site and purchase tests from there. But they also have a lot of information, with regard to each one. And, for most people, what I suggest is sign up for a class. You can take a free disc assessment, by going to tonyrobbins.com/DISC and then upgrade it for $20, and you'll get like a 30-page information on each of the behavior patterns and what they look for. But really, once you get the basics and you understand that some people are going to move a little bit slower and gather more facts, some are going to be very fast, some are going to be based on emotional and logical, then it really takes real world application to start paying attention to identifying that personality through a lot of different things they do or what they need. So for example, brokers that are doing a lot of recruiting would very quickly figure out that the D personality, again, moves very fast, absorbs a lot of risk in their decisions. They want to take everything off their plate and be face-to-face with a buyer or seller at all times. That's all they ever want to do. So that means if they're smart and they understand I make money by being face-to-face with buyer seller, and everything else, which I understand is necessary, is not something I want to do, they actually want all of that stuff done by someone else. So if I'm a company and I have administrative support that can take that off of a D's plate, I'm going to talk to them about that. If I support teams and building teams and I can support their team structure, I'm going to talk about that because D's love team, they love residual sources of income. And being a team leader is a way to achieve that. Sometimes they have 2 or 3 small businesses going. Again, multitaskers, things of that nature. If I have someone that can do their marketing for them, I'm going to share that information with them. If I have a source for their branding, because branding is really important to them, I'm going to share that with them. So basically their world is do everything else for me. Let me stay focused on buyers and sellers. I'll make you a lot of money. But when I switch to the S personality or even the C, the 2 more cautious personalities of before, their whole world is based on security and stability. Okay. And security and stability means that they need, that they're going to both embrace education and training, because the more training you have, the more prepared you are for any situation. They're going to embrace systems. They're going to want things formulated such that, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. We just have to follow the systems. You don't get in trouble. I always say that, you can always tell the difference between a C and an I personality, and probably even D's in some case, because most of the I's and D's that run at a pretty fast pace When we get something that has to be put together in a box, so first off, we try never to buy anything that has to be put together, just for openers. Like if I can buy it off the store then and tie it to my car roof, I'd rather do that than have to put it together. And then if my son could put it together, that's my
Me too.
option, right? Yeah. So who in my world do I know that can put stuff together? But if it comes down to me, I'm not going to be able to read the instructions and put it together. I'm going to look at the picture and I'm going to start trying to get it together. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So if anything's broken or it has to be put together, I call a C person in my life to come over and fix it because they can fix anything. But what will they ask for the moment they walk through the door? Do you have your instruction manual? Yeah. Now the D's and the I's have no idea where instruction manuals are or if they even kept them, because that was like when I'm pulling stuff out of the box, instruction manual. Whoa, that is not what I want at this moment. So we just throw that stuff into a pile somewhere called books in case you ever need them. And but the personality can just look at the instruction manual and say, well, it's pretty easy here. If this is happening, looks like you got to do this. And let's check out this. And you're like, yeah, great. That's awesome. So again, they see detail and they appreciate structure. They appreciate instructions. They actually, think with instructions, everything in life gets easier. But the I and D personalities are very impatient. So instructions slow us down. But statistically speaking, 80% of all salespeople are the D or I personality. Only 20% are the S and C. Okay.
Is it possible that an office has its own personality? So like Absolutely. If you're like mostly a D office, you want to recruit D people, or is an office a mix of everyone and it really doesn't matter what your personality is when you're recruiting them to your office? You just need to make the pitch correct.
A great question, Paul. And here's it is, but it's not necessarily by design. So typically a broker doesn't decide I'm going to hire all D's or I's. Now, there are some organizations out there that have done that for certain reasons, but what happens is, remember what I said to you, when you're in recruiting agents, you're going to typically, if you don't understand behavior, you're going to, let's say that you're a D personality and everyone that comes in that you're interviewing, the interview is going pretty fast. It's pretty bottom line. It's got the results. It's about the money. You've got the best business proposition in town, and anybody that bases their decision on X money is going to know that. Then you're going to resonate and recruit everybody that believes the same thing that you believe. So without realizing it, when you base your company and your systems and everything on what you believe is important, and by the way, every single franchise out there and company out there has done the exact same thing. So if we had time today, we could run through them all. But basically, if you look at the person that's at the top of every organization, and then you look at what they believe is most important in the organization and how they present themselves, it is according to a single behavior pattern, which makes sense because it's human nature for us to think, look, obviously I've just built a strong business here. My business model works. My business model is the best way. And if everybody did it my way, they'd all be successful. But everybody feels that way. Okay. So, Rob may think, hey, you know what? We're going to fly fast and we're going to do things right, but we're just going to keep it moving. We're going to keep it exciting, keep it fun, and make sure everybody makes a lot of money. And he's highly successful. Paul might say, well, listen, got to put a good foundation in place first. You have to have the right people in place. You have to really think about the structure of the organization you're building first. And then Paul builds a highly successful organization. Paul's going to think, see, it worked. You had to think about the strong foundation. Tracy over there, Tracy could be thinking, hey, you know what? I want a family atmosphere here. And I hear brokers say that all the time. We are a family. And they'll tell everybody that they meet with, like, we're a family here. We help each other. We do whatever's needed, just like a family does. And for Tracy, that might be a really important thing. And she builds a highly successful organization of people that really embrace the family. But there are other agents, certain logical agents, who are going to think, listen, I got a family at home. I don't need one here too. I'm here to make money, right? So that's what happens, Paul, is you get an organization sometimes with a person who's got this kind of single-minded thought process that says this is what's going to work, and they present it to everybody that way, but it doesn't resonate with everybody.
So would you encourage managing brokers to, I guess, understand what their personality is, and then make sure that they're not just recruiting like people, that they, so
Sure.
for instance, if they're a D, they got to understand that to say, you know, I might want to recruit some other types of personalities there, and I better know who I am because I'm going to have to pay special attention to the messaging I'm putting out there.
For sure. So here's a great example. This is actually a true story, which is a sad but true story. I was working with 3 brokers. I won't say where they're at. I don't think anything wrong with golf today, but anyways. And there were 3 partners, right? So they're equal partners. They were all solid D personalities. And they weren't having a really good, they weren't having a lot of success recruiting. They brought me out to work with them. And the first thing I noticed is that everything that they showed and everything they did and everything they said pointed to, unless you're smart enough to figure out that, you know, what we're doing is the right thing, then you're not even smart enough to be with our company. So it was a very D-driven, organization. And so one of them said, tell her about that agent that came in last week. And so I said, what happened last week? And so they're all laughing and they said, well, this agent came in. We asked her the question, tell us a little bit about yourself. And she wouldn't shut up. She just started going on and on about her kids and her vacations. And we were all looking at each other. And before she even finished her first sentence, we just stood up, walked around, took her arm, lifted her out of her seat, took her to the door and said, it was nice to meet you, and closed the door on her. I'm like, oh my God, you seriously did not do that, did you? They're like, we did. I'm like, okay, so first thing we're going to correct here is this, okay? For what that emotional agent, if she was like talking and sharing about her life, that meant she was very comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And she would probably make a great agent. But now, more important than the fact that you basically have alienated an agent for life, she works in an office full of people in the marketplace. So how many agents does she work with? Maybe 50 or 100 who are all hearing that story right now and thinking, oh my gosh, I would never go and meet with these guys. And she's co-oping with agents in the marketplace. So in our industry, everything has a trickle effect. So what happens with one person is the same with others. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of D in me. I'm a D. I'm like kind of like Rob. And I will tell you that I have had interviews that were brutal. That I'm sitting in there with a recruiter and we ask the question, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I've had recruits talk for 1 straight hour and I couldn't even get in. Okay. When I can't get in for an opening, okay, that's not good. Cause I can usually slide into any, like if you even have to take a half breath, I can get in, right? Could not get in. But here's what I realized because I understand behavior. They are feeling completely comfortable with us. They like where they're at. It's feeling good to them. They're obviously an emotional decision maker. So for all the D's that are on the call right now, and you know who you are, just think about how that would feel for 1 straight hour to have the whole hour that you've blocked off to talk about your business and they're still telling you about them. And you have to do this the whole time. Wow, that's great. Awesome. That is really awesome. In your head, you're just thinking, oh, please make this stop right now. And so it's not always easy. Okay, the same thing is with someone that moves really fast. You've had clients or
when it comes
really slow, right? So it's
right. So when it comes to scripting again and recruiting, so it would be wise for a managing broker to have a variety of templates, whether they're email or whether it's the talking points, or if they hire Rob to do the talking, to understand, I'm gonna approach this person as an emotional front, right? We're a family organization, we help each other, or a more, let's say the D type person, which I guess I'm in that camp then, would be, what kind of marketing do you have and what is it? What's in it for me?
What are the numbers?
Yeah. What's the bottom line?
So they need to have a variety. So in other words, when you go recruit, you better kind of divide people up into different camps before you just blast out information. Right.
Exactly. And really, you only need 2 approaches, even though you're going to modify what you present each one because there are 4 behavior patterns. But typically, if the person's logical, they look at that appointment as a business appointment, and they're coming in to get information. And so therefore, if you waste their time with things that have nothing to do with making a decision about real estate, then you're going to annoy them. So that person, there's no chit chat, there's no small talk. You're going to get right down to business. Paul, thanks so much for coming in today. Obviously, we're excited to learn more about your business. Same time, give you some information about our company. So, let me ask you this, Paul. So I'm going to go, it's going to be a short intro. I'm going to write into my questions for Paul. And my questions are, the questions can be the same for every agent. You're just going to see that they respond differently based on behavior. Whereas, maybe if I've got Tracy coming in, it's going to be a lot more of a big smile. Hey, Tracy, how's it going? And I might say, so now that we weren't in lockdown this summer, did you get out in it all? Were you and your family, did you go anywhere? And where'd you go? And wow, that sounds great. So for Tracy, she's going to be much more comfortable in the interview if I spend 5 or 10 minutes just connecting with her on a personal level. And if she thinks, I like her, then I'll see her instantly relax. But again, if I approach her the same way that I would Paul, she's already nervous coming in, and now I'm just like right into business, and she's not feeling good right now. And unless she feels good, and that's a real internal feeling thing, she's gonna, she could be really impressed with my company, but she's sitting there thinking things such as, geez, I don't know if I can approach her with problems. I mean, she doesn't seem very open, doesn't seem very interested in who I am as a person. So that's what's going through their head, while the logic of personality is just spitting out facts and numbers, right? So you have to know how to approach them. So you definitely do need 2 different approaches.
Well, I'm going to do a little public announcement here because we are working with on a plugin for OnTask. You could call it an artificial intelligence piece. That seems to be the buzzword now. But what this does is it'll bring up on the contact card what the predicted personality is for that contact.
Oh, wow, really?
So,
that sounds cool.
So then, and it also gives you some tips on how to approach that person, just as Judy's explaining here. So we hope to have that integrated here by September, and our plan is to roll it out for free for everyone to try. But then being the logical, I need to make money person, we're going to end up charging for it down the road. But you'll get it for free, hopefully, for a good 30 days.
But you can try it out for free, which is really good. I think that sounds great. How exciting for you. I think that sounds fantastic.
Tracy, Rob, you got some insights or questions?
One of the things that we loved about this so far with Judy, and Judy's been working with our recruiters recently, and we've been doing some training sessions about the DISC profiles and things like that. So not to jump all over your plug, but that's one of the things we've been doing just to enhance our own internal efforts. I mean, obviously, if I'm bouncing back and forth between a D and an I, I'm about the numbers as well. And so we're always looking at how we can improve things. So already we've seen a bump, a 5 or 10% bump in productivity just with our recruiters, just looking at, when they get someone on the phone, immediately figuring out who they're talking to, rather than just trying to again, hammer the same speech into the same people every day and the same thing. And I mean, even when we sign someone up, we come up with 3 or 4 different scripts as it is, but because each agent could have a different, monetary thing going on at a different office, that type of thing. But again, like we were talking about before the call, analyzing a personality is about sales, right? And I don't think a lot of people, when they get into recruiting real estate agents, or if they're new to it, or maybe they're not even doing it at all, they don't look at it like a sale. And I think that's one of the miracles of Judy, is that she, like myself, is an old salesperson who just loves to close deals, and so, when you love that type of thing and you're able to, advance yourself, other people will advance with you, and I think maybe when you're talking about office leaders and things like that, that was one of the things with my company, like I have to produce to have a company. So how could somebody work for me and not produce? Not going to happen. Right. And so I think that, Paul even asking that question about real estate offices is a great thing. It reminds me of a Remax that I worked for 15 years ago, where the guy that owned the office had $500,000 in sales and commissions in the bank by, March, and everybody looked at him like this, oh my God, you run an office and you've got this vibe. And his personality was very egregious. So he was probably closer to an I guess, or something like that. But again, I think it's just, if you guys are on this call today, you want to improve your recruiting efforts, Judy's got some great tips, and I know she's been talking a lot today, but if there's any other questions, that Paul or Tracy and I can answer about our different products and services, give Judy a bit of a break here, we're happy to talk about that as well.
And then of course, Tracy provides us the data, right? That rich, meaningful data that comes from Teradata. That allows you to.
Kind of funny. I'm an I personality that works at a data company, which is highly unusual. But and it's funny because I'm an I and my husband's a C, and so we are exact opposites in the whole spectrum. So I have a lot of practice on. Okay, how do you understand when we do the whole car buying situation that Judy mentioned earlier? I let him go research for months, and I say, come to me when you're ready, and then I can make that decision like that. So it's really funny how it all really does come together. But using our tools like Brokermetrics, if you are talking to those highly analytical types that really want to see the metrics and data behind a decision, that's where we see brokers being able to use that data to say, hey, did you know that this is the percentage that you're up or down? The emotional, it's taking the data and interpreting it and providing some analysis based on, is this more an emotional decision maker? Hey, your business is up, way to go. Or, hey, this is what the industry average is and you fall higher or lower. I mean, there's different ways that you approach it. And it's always interesting when we talk to brokers, because brokers fall in all different personality levels.
For sure.
That look at our metrics that we provide through Brokermetrics. When we talk about, hey, here's what you can do with this, or here's how you can use this to make your business better, that resonates more with the emotional thinkers. Whereas when we're talking to someone that's highly analytical, just show me how to get there. I'll make my own decisions based on that. But it's really interesting to kind of pull all that together, especially when you're talking about data, which can be foreign to a very large percentage of brokers just based on that type of profile.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true.
Good.
Love it.
I don't see any questions rolling across the screen. So I don't know. Judy, you got any closing comments? And then we'll wrap this up here.
Yeah, again, I would just encourage everyone to first take a test and get a comprehensive a test. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. There's more than just D, but just reading about yourself, and then, having family members or friends, or with my office, we had the agents all take it. And then we talked about how to identify different behaviors and stuff. Like once you just start even taking the information from today, you go into a restaurant, and the person that's taking you to the table, just kind of look at them and think, what, emotional or logical, right? Or the waiter, approaches. So, this stuff is around you every day. And so the more you acknowledge it and then you just watch it, it will become part of what you begin to see naturally with people that you're face to face with.
Perfect. I'm going to paste in all our contact information one more time. And remember, we'll be coming out with that personality bolt-on here, hopefully in September. That'll help you. And then obviously you can reach out to any of our panelists with the connection here. And we're happy to answer your questions, make your calls, help you grow your business. That's what we're about. So thank you all for attending.
Thank you for coming today, everybody. Wow, what a great group today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.